Childhood begins in a curious silence, a space where there is no I, no boundary between self and world. The infant doesn't yet know itself as separate. There is hunger, touch, sound, but no ego. Then something happens. Around the age of 4, the child begins to say, mine, me, I. A sense of self emerges, a small but firm grip on identity. This is the birth of the ego. It starts innocently. The ego is just a tool, a reference point, but over time, it becomes more than that. It becomes a filter, a mask, a ruler. You begin to believe that this voice in your head is the real you. You believe you're the one making the decisions, steering your life, that your thoughts, feelings, and impulses are all born of reason and will. But what if I told you that belief is the first lie? This video isn't here to soothe you. It's here to shake you. Because if you're watching this, something in you already suspects the truth, that your life, no matter how organized or successful it appears, feels fragmented, anxious, hollow. You wake up tired. You perform routines like rituals, but the meaning has gone stale. You chase achievements, but they don't fulfill you. You seek validation, but never feel truly seen. Why? Because the ego, your constructed self, is driving the vehicle of your life, and it does not know where your soul wants to go. Carl Jung didn't call the ego evil. He called it incomplete, a useful part of the psyche, but dangerous when mistaken for the whole. When you identify fully with the ego, you imprison yourself. You become the character in your story, forgetting you are also the storyteller. You cling to titles, to identities, to the image you've been perfecting for years. But deep down, you know it's not real. It's not enough. This is the beginning of spiritual fatigue, a life of performance instead of presence, of control instead of curiosity, of familiarity instead of depth. When the ego dominates, you begin to repeat the same lessons, unaware you're in a loop. But there is a way back. Not backward to innocence, but forward to integration. Today, we will perform a kind of psychological autopsy. We will dissect the ego, examine its defenses, its games, and its fears. We will expose the mask and shine a light on what lies beneath. And maybe, just maybe, by the end of this journey, you'll begin to sense the presence of something deeper, a truer self that doesn't need validation to exist. Let's begin. The ego, in Jung's terms, is the center of consciousness. It helps you navigate the world. Without it, you couldn't make decisions, hold a job, or even say your own name. But here's the catch. The ego thinks it is the whole map. It forgets that it is just one part of the psyche. You start saying things like, "This is just how I am," or "I could never do that." These aren't truths. They are ego-bound beliefs, rules etched in fear, not freedom. The ego builds your social identity. It curates your behavior. It hides parts of you it deems unacceptable. It edits your emotions, twists your memories, and silences your instincts. Why? To maintain a coherent image, an illusion of stability. But stability comes at a price. To uphold the ego's narrative, you amputate parts of yourself. Your wildness, your rage, your grief, your need for connection. From a young age, you were trained to perform, to be polite, to suppress the messy emotions. You learned to prioritize approval over authenticity. You began to believe that love was conditional, that you had to earn your worth. The ego took charge to protect you, but in doing so, it also began to control you. Jung compared the ego to a tiny island floating in the vast ocean of the unconscious. Yet that tiny island insists it is the entire world. It says you're strong, but shatters at criticism. It says you're free, but craves constant validation. It says you're rational, but panics at uncertainty. It says you're unique, but longs to belong. And here's the cruelest part. The ego convinces you This prison is freedom. You confuse your habits for your identity. You think your reactions are your nature, but they aren't. They are the echoes of conditioning. The ego isn't evil, it's just limited. And when you believe it is your true self, you are at war with your own soul. The more you cling to the ego, the more you fear. Fear of being wrong, fear of being alone, fear of not being enough. And fear is what keeps the ego in power. Fear that if you let go, everything will fall apart. But that's the illusion. It's not the truth. But the ego doesn't stand alone. It enlists allies, the persona and the shadow. Let's talk about the mask. The persona is the face you wear in public. It is the social costume stitched together by years of feedback, expectation, and survival. Jung called it the mask that conforms. The persona isn't fake, it's incomplete. You learned early that certain emotions weren't welcome. Anger was punished, sadness was brushed aside, vulnerability was mocked. And so the mask began to form. So you began to filter, to edit, to suppress. And the persona was born. What's dangerous is not that you wear a mask, it's that you forget you're wearing it. Let's take an example. Imagine a boy named Ethan, sensitive, artistic, deeply feeling. But every time he cried, he was told to man up. Every time he shared his dreams, he was laughed at. So Ethan adapted. He stopped crying, stopped dreaming aloud. He became quiet, agreeable, even cold. People called him strong. But inside, Ethan was numb. The mask had become so tight, he could no longer breathe. This is what happens when the persona eclipses the soul. Now, imagine Maya. Outwardly successful, respected at work, always organized. But her nights are sleepless. Her weekends are silent battles with sadness. She doesn't understand why she's not happy. She's done everything right, followed every rule, built an identity admired by all. But it was never built on her truth. It was built on what the world wanted to see. The persona is an armor, but armor eventually becomes a cage. The ego, wanting to protect you, built a version of you more acceptable, more polished, more efficient. You became nice, obedient, smiling on command. But beneath the smile, a storm was brewing. Something got lost. Your rawness, your truth, your wholeness. The parts of you that didn't fit the image were exiled. You traded authenticity for safety. But the cost is high: anxiety, numbness, emotional fatigue. You begin to feel like an actor in your own life. You seem in control, but inside, there's chaos. And the saddest part? You don't even realize it. The ego convinces you that this performance is who you are. And so the ego fulfills its darkest function, not just hiding your wounds, but making you forget they exist at all. You drift away from your core. You chase validation like a ghost. You play roles so well that the real you falls asleep, until one day you wake up and feel like a stranger in your own skin. But remember this: whatever is repressed does not disappear. It becomes the shadow. The shadow is everything you reject: the jealousy, the rage, the fear, the ambition, the lust. The shadow holds the parts of you that the persona disowns, and what you disown will eventually own you. The more you deny it, the more it manipulates your life from the dark. You lash out without knowing why. You sabotage what you love. You repeat cycles that make no sense. Because the ego, unchecked, runs on autopilot. It disguises fear as logic. It turns insecurity into arrogance. It justifies toxic choices with perfect excuses. Want to know if the ego is dominating your life? Look at your patterns. Do you crave approval? Do you constantly compare yourself to others? Do you fear making mistakes? Do you need to win arguments? Do you reject intimacy or push away love? Do you fear silence? Do Do you distract yourself endlessly? Do you find it hard to rest? Do you fear being seen, truly seen? These aren't just quirks, they're alarm bells. The ego thrives in fear. It would rather cling to a predictable prison than risk the unknown. It's not bad luck, it's not fate, it's ego preservation. But here's the turning point. The ego has no interest in your joy. It does not care about your fulfillment. It wants control. To move beyond it, you must learn to observe it, to separate from it, to listen without believing. This is the beginning of inner work, not to destroy the ego, but to integrate it, to give every part of you a seat at the table. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to be whole. And wholeness begins when you stop performing and start listening, when you stop defending and start feeling, when you stop identifying with the mask and start meeting the self underneath. Your true self is not fragile. It is vast, spacious, alive, and it's waiting for you. So ask yourself now, what part of me have I silenced? What mask am I still wearing? And who might I be without it? The journey ahead is not easy, but it is real, and real is always worth it. Let this be your invitation, not to fix yourself, but to meet yourself, not to abandon what you've been, but to embrace all that you are becoming. This is your call to depth, your call to awaken, to remember that you are not a role, not a reputation, not a reflection of what others need from you. You are something much more mysterious, much more alive. Begin by noticing. Notice when you smile without feeling joy. Notice when you say yes, but mean no. Notice when you shrink yourself to make others comfortable. These are signs. Follow them. Give yourself permission to feel what arises without judgment. Anger is not your enemy, nor is fear, nor is doubt. They are messengers, each one carrying a piece of your truth back to you. Practice solitude. In silence, the ego has no script to follow. In stillness, the true self begins to speak. Read, reflect, journal, walk without a destination. These aren't luxuries, they are sacred practices. Seek community, not to fit in, but to be witnessed. Healing does not happen in isolation. It requires presence, resonance, truth. And if the path gets dark, good. That means you're getting closer. The shadow is not the enemy. It is the doorway. Go toward what you fear. Sit with it. Listen. Ask it what it wants you to know. Eventually, the mask will slip, and when it does, you will not fall apart. You will fall into yourself. You are not lost. You are layered, not broken, becoming. So take a breath. Come home. Thank you for watching. If this resonated, consider subscribing for more content like this. And remember, you are more than a persona. You are more than an ego. You are a soul unfolding. Until next time.